Hello everybody, this is Jen Rains for quarantine class number 5. I am on a beautiful sandy beach. It's a little windy, so I hope everybody can hear me. So let's get started in a seated pose. You can even sit on a chair, sit up on something, just sit on the ground, dropping into our sit bones. And just start to rock back and forth. So opening the back body, opening the front body, exhaling as you go back, inhaling as you go forward. And then coming to rest in the center of the sit bones. Let's drop our right hand down, reach our left over. So really creating space here, maybe even spiraling up towards the sky. And then dropping the left hand, stepping into the right sit bone, reaching the right arm up. Breathing into your right side. Coming back. Let's walk our fingertips behind us. Opening the chest. So a lot of times we get that, we get fear or disappointment, things that make us curl into ourselves to protect ourselves. And to help hold space for yourself to experience those emotions. Spreading the collarbones, lifting the breastbone. And let's just sit quietly. Just being wherever you are this morning. Experience whatever you're experiencing. You know, there's so many things going on around us. Just returning to that place of peace. Sometimes I feel like I'm a snow globe that's been shook up and everything's flying all over the place. And just giving yourself that moment for all of the snow to settle down. Let's open our eyes. And let's shift off of our seat. Come onto our hands and our knees. And let's have our knees out a little wide and just reach the arms forward and create length in the spine. Back curve here, opening up the inner thigh. Let's walk hands back. Let's move into the spinal waves. So exhale, flexion. Inhale, extension. flexion. Let's tuck our tail under and then bring the left shoulder and the left hip towards each other as you're spreading the right side of your body. Back to center. Tucking in again. Right hip, right shoulder. And then coming back. So a little twist. So right knee moves forward, left hand moves forward. And let's bring the right arm up. So twisting to the right. And let's come down. So left knee forward, right hand forward, and breathe the left arm up. Coming back down. So a little more intense twist for the upper back. Left hand moves forward, and let's thread the right shoulder down. Take a breath in a neutral pose, and then right hand moves forward. Thread the left down. And let's come up. And let's find downward facing dog. So it's my first downward facing dog of the day, so I'm going to start with bent knees. So we really want the spine to have all the four natural curves. We want the spine to be slightly extended. So wherever your legs have to be in order for that to happen is your downward facing dog of the moment. So we're not going to force the knees straight. We're just going to read the spine, read the legs. So really spreading your fingers, pressing into the ground, pressing your chest back. Maybe coming way up on the balls of the feet, and then sending your heels down. And then coming down to the knees. And let's bring our right foot forward. Just coming up to just a little lunge. So the lunge is the back bend prep. The lunge helps us open our chest. Lift the back leg. So sending the left heel back. And let's add a little twist here. So let's drop into the left hand. Right arm up. Coming back down, dropping the back knee. We're going to move our right foot over, point the right toes out a little bit, and take a little deeper lunge. Now, if you have a little more flexible quadricep, I'm going to add this next little addition to this pose. But if it's not easily accessible, don't fight with it, or the hamstring will launch a little protest here. So So pulling the foot back. And then coming down. Sending the right leg back. And let's take another downward facing dog. And then coming down. Let's bring the left foot forward. Just moving slowly. Sending the breath. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Hands on either side. Curl the back toes under, and then really sending that back leg straight back, reaching through the heel. And maybe play around with coming up on this side. Dropping the back knee, and then moving that left foot over, pointing the left toes out. The knee kind of goes out to the side a little, just sinking a little deeper into the lunge. And then adding the back foot if it's there, only if it's there though. And let's find downward facing dog one more time. This time let's raise the right leg. Let's bring the right foot through. It's okay if it takes a couple hops to get there. We're going to bring the left foot forward a little. Now glue the right ribs to the right thigh and begin to straighten the front leg. But see, my leg isn't going to get all straight this morning. I'm a little tight, so that's all right. You want to make sure the ribs stay on the thigh. Create length in the spine. Bend the knee, open the chest. Left foot forward, back up to a high lunge again, taking your time, opening the chest, move the right foot forward, glue the left ribs to the left thigh, also checking in with your face and your jaw and making sure you're not clenching. Bend the front knee. So let's do some standing poses. So of course, Tadasana. My feet are in sand, so it's a different experience. So this is where we can be rooted in the earth, especially if we have to speak, we have to stand in our truth, to really finding Tadasana, even when it's scary. So stepping into the big toe mound, the little toe mound, the inner heel, the outer heel. So that is your connection to earth. That is your root to earth. So lifting up on your kneecaps, but not pressing the knees back. You don't want to lock the knees. You want the legs to be full of energy, full of prana, but not stiff. And then feel the lifting through the rib cage. Feel your rib cage coming off of your pelvis. Feel that lift all the way through the breastbone. And let's just give the shoulders one roll up, back, and down. Let's bring our hands to our heart. Let's just do a couple rounds of sun breathing. So on an inhale, we're going to reach up. Exhale, back down to the heart. Inhale, up. Exhale, back down to the heart. And let's do that 2 more times. Just being here. Back to Tadasana. Let's take a step out. So every part of a standing pose can have a part of Tadasana in it. So I'm still feeling rooted in my feet, even though they're not in traditional Tadasana. I'm finding the elements of Tadasana everywhere. So the right toes point, the left heel goes back a bit as we move into Trikonasana, triangle pose. So we want the torso to be long, so there's going to be no lateral flexion here. So I like my left hand on my left hip. On an exhale, I'm going to reach out over the right leg, making sure that the kneecap is pointing forward and not fading in. So reaching out and then dropping here. And then expand the chest. Step into the feet, come up. And let's just change our feet. So find a new Tadasana. And this is just as much as triangle pose as moving into the pose. So every step into the pose is treated with the same level of mindfulness. Inhale, exhale, and just dropping. Expand the chest. Let's go back to Tadasana. So every standing pose can feed your Tadasana. So feeling any difference in the legs, the chest, the arms, your inner world, any change, just being present with. Right, now we're going to add Ardha Chandrasana, or half moon, into our triangle pose. So we're going into triangle pose one more time. Right heel back, left heel back, right toes forward. Moving into triangle pose. Then you're going to take a bend in the right knee. Now you can have a block, which makes it a little bit easier. And the block would be about a foot ahead of you, a few inches to the right. I'm going to take a deep bend, hand to the block, and shine up into the pose. So lots of energy in Ardha Chandrasana. I like to pretend, you know, the sun is in the belly and you're radiating out of the core. Now, if you want a little challenge and adding a little back bend, taking the top foot and expanding. If not, you can be in more traditional Ardha Chandrasana. And then to come down, soften the knee, reach back, and then take the hand up. And back to Tadasana. So a little challenge, and you're the steward of your own body. If that doesn't feel right, you can just do Trikonasana on both sides again. Dropping the shoulders. And let's try it on the left. So stepping out, left toes point, right heel back. Slowing it down in your mind. So I'm finding Trikonasana solid here before I advance here. Bending the knee, placing the hands, and shine up. This is one of my favorite standing poses. Balance and strength. Element of going in. And then if you want, you can add that top foot and expand. We're staying regular Ardha. Soften the knee, come back, and back to Tadasana. Just closing the eyes, deepening the breath. Since the sun has been so glorious this morning, I'd like to do a couple sun salutations, Surya Namaskar, just an easier variation. So we'll just do a couple. So being at the top of your mat or your practice space, bringing the hands in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Now we're going to move into Uttanasana. So just bend the knees, ribs on the thighs, and just reach out. So you can play around with bending the knees and straightening the knees, but as soon as the ribs come off the thighs, you've gone too far. So just keep the ribs on the thighs and just play around with where your edge is. Let's plant the hands and step back into plank pose. Pressing the ground away, finding strength here. And then exhale, lower all the way down. Inhale, just a mini cobra. Exhale, slowly back to downward facing dog. Let's step forward. Back to Uttanasana. All the way up. Let's do that one more time. Inhale up. Exhale, bend the knees, Uttanasana. Plant the hands, step back into plank. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. And stepping forward, Uttanasana. hands to heart. Just breathing into the feet. All right. And let's come down. I'm going to do a couple back bends. So let's do a Setu Bandha bridge variation. We're going to have our feet flat on the ground and just start to lift the pelvis up. And then down. Come a little higher up. And then back down. Then we're going to come up into full Setu Bandha, roll the shoulders under. Breastbone towards the chin. Let's see if you can raise the right leg up. And then back down. Find your pose again. And then left leg up. So a little more challenge. Down. And lift the pelvis back up. And then exhale down. And just be here for a moment. And then rolling to the side and pressing up. To try Ustrasana. So Ustrasana is a little more advanced. If you've never done Ustrasana, you might want to watch a few times and still keep working on your lunges and your bridge pose, and then try it maybe with an instructor. But if you've had this pose in your practice before or close to it, we can go ahead and give it a try. So I like to actually teach Ustrasana up against a wall. So if you don't have a wall, like I don't right now, I'm going to pretend I have a wall in front of me. So I'm going to take my pubic bone and really bring it up to the wall. And that's going to be kind of my anchor for the pose. And you can also make it a little easier by curling your toes under, by lifting your heels up a little bit. So I'm going to feel that the pose is not necessarily just going back, but up. So lifting up out of the spine, my breastbone, feel like it's coming right up, rolling the shoulders back. And then really pressing into that pubic bone, opening the body. And then if you're gonna have your head back, I'm pretending that there's a pole behind my neck, and then I'm reaching up and around the pole, creating a space. And then coming up, the head is the last thing. I'm just going to sit down in Virasana for a moment. All right. And since we're here, let's just take a little child's pose. So child's pose being a pose of surrender. to downward facing dog. We're going to move into pigeon pose. So downward facing dog, the right leg comes up. Going to bring the right knee forward, shift forward, and then move the right knee out wider than the right hip, and then move the left leg back. So in its full expression, you know, it is a back bend. We're going to bring it forward a little. Coming down to the forearms. I don't suggest going down any lower. I'm not a big fan of laying across the front leg. I think this is a little healthier for the hip joint. And whatever you need to do to have the chest open, maybe you have a couple blocks so you're up a little higher. And then release your jaw, release your face, and just breathe into your right hip. Then let's come up, curl the left toes under, and you can go right back to downward facing dog if you have the strength, or you can just roll to the right sit bone and bring the other leg around and meet in downward facing dog. I'm going to lift up into downward facing dog, take a breath, and then left leg up. So the knee comes in, shift forward, left knee wider than the left hip, the right knee goes back. I own the back bend, opening the chest, and then come down to the forearms. I'm just going to roll to the left sit bone, swing my leg around, and now it's time for Shavasana. So I'm going to sit and hold space for you all while you find your Shavasana. So Shavasana is where we lie down and integrate all the movement we've done. So the only thing that I really say is is really important is to have something underneath your head so your forehead is higher than your chin. It's also important that you be warm. So if you're a little chilly, you can cover yourself with a blanket. If you have any sort of anything uncomfortable in the low back, you want to put something under your knees and support your ankles. And you can have blankets for your wrists. You can make it as comfortable as you like, but really the only thing I truly suggest is just something under your head. Make sure you're warm enough, and something to cover your eyes. So finding your comfortable lying down pose. You want your arms to be, your hands about a foot away from the body, palms face up. Your feet about hip distance apart. So when we do poses, we always work from the gross to the subtle. So from the physical body, and then moving more towards the energy in the inner world. So you want to adjust your skeletal system first. So we deal with the arms and the legs. And then allowing your jaw to soften, the forehead to soften, the throat to soften. Just feeling your chest as open and relaxed. Feel your belly is open. Feeling his hips relax, so the toes just turn out. And feeling the ground rise up to support you. So this is the grounding element. This is the earth element of your Shavasana. It's the earth rising up to meet you from underneath. Feeling the air on your skin. And then it almost feels like the air and the skin become one. And the border between them gets a little fuzzy. And feeling that calm feeling moving through your physical body. Almost like a white light or a golden liquid. Feeling the breath is three-dimensional and moving through the whole body. And then just releasing into your Shavasana and being still. You can slowly start to deepen your breath or stay in Shavasana if this feels good. Just feeling the breath traveling in the body. Then begin to move your fingers and toes, just making small movements in the body. Then bending the knees, hugging the knees into the chest. And rolling onto your right side. Just staying there for a moment. And then pressing yourself up. We'll all meet in a seated pose. Gratitude for our practice and each other. Namaste. wish you all health, happiness, joy, and peace. Have a beautiful day.